And we are live. Good morning, everyone. For the new listeners, my name is Marco Stavro, and welcome to the Gen Z 360 show, where we talk to industry leaders about technology, leadership, and the future of work. Having been involved in the startup game myself, and for the past 4 years, one of the things I constantly think about is when will industry leaders and successful organizations support the SME economy? Well, today's guest, the CEO of the South African Future Trust, is doing exactly that. After an incredibly successful corporate executive career, having been the chief operating officer of McDonald's South Africa, he is now the CEO of the South African Future Trust, and he's helping grow the African SME economy and supporting businesses in such an incredible way. So welcome to the show, Nico Jacobs.
Thank you so much, Marco, and thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. So just to start us off, just quickly share a bit about who you are, your new role as the CEO, and a bit about your career.
Sure. I remember the starting point. I always, whenever I get asked the question, my beginnings go back to some advice from my father when I was really young and throughout my life. And he said, Nico, my boy, don't ever be reliant on one source of income. So I was fortunate in that from young age, I always lived in two worlds. I lived in the world of the workers. So I started in retail and moved up into different spaces, which I'll go through now. But I've also spent a lot of time in the world of the owners, starting my first business when I was 21 and just working through different businesses and business models. So yeah, the luxury of living, coexisting in two worlds has always been useful. But on the corporate side, I cut my teeth in retail, working for big retail companies, moved on to finance. I love numbers, I love financials. So I went to one of the big retail banks as the head of their consumer business, a national sales director, moved on to be head of the business bank for another big commercial banks. And then moved into FMCG, working sort of was I owned McDonald's at the time, and I was the chief operating officer looking after a couple of big parts of the business. And then I moved to MTN as the head of distribution for MTN, huge business, telco environment, great environment. And then I had a conversation with the Oppenheimers, and I fell in love with their dream of how they're going to help the country and what they're wanting to do. And I looked at myself and I thought about my own business I've got, the corporates I've done. I mean, I've got businesses in agriculture, in tech, in manufacturing, engineering, property, branding. I've always loved entrepreneurship. And, when the two worlds collide together and you get this great African family wanting to make a massive difference, they started the SA Future Trust, and they asked me to bring those skills and bring those learnings of over the years in working in the world of the workers and the world of the owners and help them change the world. So how do you say no to that? You stop saying it's not about the profits anymore, it's about purpose. And I'll exchange cash for purpose any day of the week.
And what's so unique about you, Nico, is that you have the corporate, but yet you've started your own businesses since 21. And so I think a lot of SMEs say, but what do these corporate guys know about running a startup or what experience? But you do have that. So I think you got some really unique information and wisdom to share. So yeah, I can't wait to get into that now. Just to quickly share, what do you believe is your superpower?
I've got a huge amount of faith, and faith is a very small word, only 5 letters, but it's huge in terms of what it can actually achieve in your life. I really got faith in myself. I got faith in my maker. I got faith in the ability for this country to come right. I've got faith in businesses. I've got faith in my partnership with the Oppenheimers at the moment in terms of the South African Future Trust. And sometimes if you've got the right amount of faith, and they say you can move mountains, and some of the problems we got is less than moving mountains. I really know that once I got the faith running through my veins, the actions come with, the passion comes with, the energy comes with. So yeah, I'd say definitely faith would be my superpower.
Amazing. And what's super exciting about this conversation is that we're going to be having huge giveaways. One of the things that you guys are doing is you're giving away 500,000 Rand, 250,000 Rand in cash, and 250,000 Rand in mentorships and other hardware things at your guys' summit next week. And then we're also going to be giving away some free tickets. So for the person who engages the most and asks us the questions, we're going to be giving away a ticket. The event is in Johannesburg. We're really excited to be able to do that on the show today. So just maybe share about the 1 billion Rand in 2020 that you guys disposed to banks and you gave to SMEs, and then also about the summit next week.
Cool. So I think the origins of the genesis of the South African Future Trust find itself in a very dire time, not only in South Africa but also globally with the advent of COVID. And what the Oppenheimers did, they put R1 billion into helping SMEs. we were very lucky to partner with the retail banks in the country, with the 6 retail banks. And together we partnered and we basically gave R1 billion away. So the way it worked, we basically give your staff details. The money was paid into the staff's bank account. And pretty much what happened from there was the interest-free loan that you got in 2020 was only payable in December 2025. I mean, it gives you an interest-free loan for like 5 years. And yeah, that's the genesis of how it started. Fortunately, a lot of that funds have started coming back. When people started realizing that the business have recovered, they've moved the cash back, and now we're sticking with money. We say, okay, what's the next? What does 2.0 look like? And really, a lot of the thoughts about how do we actually position the SA Future Trust going forward, and what we actually do. So 2.0 becomes more on the financial support side, and non-financial support side. The fact that COVID has come and gone in many people's minds, but a lot of businesses have still felt the aftershock, stepping into reserves to actually survive those environments. And really, from our side, is saying, what is the next phase and how do we help? So there's a whole host of support, and once it's also easy to understand the environment because you live in that space yourself. You're a business owner yourself. I was finding my having to move money from one to another. I was helping to bridge businesses. We went through COVID with different caps on. I went through it with my own SME cap on as well. And the whole big view is to say, let's go talk to that base of customers. When I started in April of this year, about 229 days ago, my first port of call was saying, you always leave the customer insight. You need to understand what customers are saying, what they're wanting before you even decide what you're wanting to do. So I spent a lot of time with loan holders and just understanding what happened. And a lot of them were massively appreciative. We reached out to, we did 10,000 loans, loan holders of R1 billion. And it actually helped 100,000 people. 100 South Africans were helped during that COVID period. And a lot of the input I got from the SME spaces was really saddening in one way, but actually massively inspiring in another way. Sad in terms of how the business was taken out and how many people were lost and how many businesses went down. But just happy and massively appreciative of the resilience. They stuck it through. Guys were changing their business models. Restaurants were becoming frozen food deliveries. Guys were running logistics companies, became like very different companies, and they actually survived. And that's always the beauty about South Africans, right? We survive, we thrive, we're resilient. So a lot of what we're doing on the summit itself is just to basically anchor a few different thoughts. A lot of the SMEs felt like they've been, went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson in his prime, get a COVID knock, and then you get a load shedding knock, and you get like a union knock, and you get like a big customer losing you kind of thing, leaving you. And the first port of call, we said, let's just go bring some like-minded people together. And first of all, celebrate entrepreneurship. It's tough out there. People romanticize the fact that they're the CEO of their business, but you're actually, in fact, the delivery guy, you're the marketing guy, you're the payments guy kind of thing, or lady kind of thing, etc. So, we want to just basically anchor and say, okay, let's go first of all celebrate entrepreneurship. Secondly, when I start having some very, concrete conversations about how we can actually lead with entrepreneurship. Big corporates are downsizing, right-sizing, public sector shrinking, and my kids and our grandkids and your kids will be employed by entrepreneurs, not be employed by, big corporates of the world kind of thing, etc. So the quicker we get behind this as a movement, the better for everybody else. So a lot of the thinking around the summit was really saying, let's inspire, let's educate, let's entertain. So, entertainment and all those sort of things. But most importantly was what happens when you leave the conference? What actually happens? Do you actually say, okay, I had a good 2 days, I had some good talks, made some good notes, and what actually happened? So the way it's formatted, the first 2 days of the conference, it's only 2 days, but the first part of both days of the conference is really about just giving you an external view. What's happening in the government space? What's the role of public sector or private sector? What's the role of philanthropy in terms of getting this movement really started, kind of thing, like very successful nations did across the world by driving the SME sector, the German's Mittelstand model, what's happening in Kenya at the moment, kind of thing, etc. Why can't we be a story and a beacon of hope out there for those environments as well? And a large part of the summit is talking about these 4 masterclasses. And the masterclasses to me is like the big anchors, because in that masterclass you learn different parts of the business, but you'll also take home tools that you can implement in your business. And we've got 4 great masterclass presenters. We've got Paulo Leketa talking about investor ready. Is your business investment ready? If somebody's looking to invest in your business, looking to expand, scale. What are they looking for? Are they looking at your succession planning, your people, your team, your product? What are they actually looking for now? If we know what the exam is, it's easy to prepare for the test, right? Secondly, we got Adam Bantanovitz, who's the head of business innovation and tech innovation at WITS, and he talks about innovating or stagnating, using the right purpose tech, fit for purpose tech in your business, and how to get the most out of tech. We got Richard Mulholland talking about guarding against yourself and the 6 deadly business sins. We find lots of business owners actually kill their own businesses sometimes by not even understanding what decisions they're making. That's basically flagging and just floundering and drowning their business. So just a heads up in terms of just guard against yourself and just be aware that you never do the following things. And then the balancer to me was always, you have to also focus on the more balanced part. The business owner, is tough out there, stressful over here. How do you actually look after yourself? So we've got Richard Sutton, who wrote Strive, Stress Code, talking about how to create the harmony in the hustle. How do you actually get self-mastery right? And how does a better, a more energetic you, a more fit you, whether you're physically fit, mentally fit, spiritually fit, run a better business. And so that's a huge focus. And then the point that you raised about the 500,000, putting up for grabs is saying, well, to see which delegate can sit in that conference and really take in all the learnings, take the playbooks, and not for everybody, you'll need different things for different people. But how do you take some of these learnings and implement in your business and showcase us the results? So, if you come across a operating model or a frictional cost structure in terms of saying there's a frictional cost in your business, but split them out, you're going to save yourself 200,000 by doing it the following year. And guys actually physically go do it, and business people go out and do it. We were looking to give $500,000 away, 250K in cash and 250K in hardware, mentorship, whatever other support your business requires. Just to showcase and recognize you for, not only like Richard Mulholland, my friend, always says, don't take notes at conferences, take action. So put the action in place and get the reward.
And I think that's why I'm attending, because last year I spoke at 30 plus events. I've hosted tens of events, and the biggest problem, like you just said, is that you go to these events, you shake people's hands, you exchange business cards, and then nothing ever happens, right? And so you need to be super intentional about actually applying that and being able to ask personal questions, which is why I think the masterclasses and the Founders Bootcamp is going to be so powerful. And I think that's why both professionals and entrepreneurs need to attend, because there's actually going to be substance. There's actually going to be things, never mind the money, and there's going to be 6 winners and etc. So I think, it's a super valuable event. And it's so great to also see that you guys are doing what you say. You're actually making an impact. You're putting money behind these incredible speakers and behind the event. You're actually showcasing companies through the exhibitors. So I think that's brilliant. And I'm really excited to, number one, attend, but also be able to meet other entrepreneurs. Because again, I think one of the things in the Joburg environment, we were talking before this about, Joburg versus Cape Town, is it's so hard to meet founders. It's so hard to meet like-minded business guys and be able to exchange resources and exchange information. And so this platform and this space gives you that. And I think that's so powerful and so needed right now, as we were so isolated in COVID. Now having partnerships and now having mentors and having investors involved, I think is super key. So why don't you let's just quickly touch on leadership a bit. You've obviously led your own companies, hundreds of employees, plus within organizations. What are your 5 top leadership tasks that if you're a CEO or you're an exec listening to this, or you run your own company, what are some of the leadership traits and tasks that you would recommend people to adopt?
It's a good question. We actually covered this question quite a bit in terms of the summit as well, in terms of the role of the leader, the role of the captain of the ship. And you saw the World Cup success, a lot of moving parts, but you put a good captain on the field, you're always going to get much more success. So as the captain of the ship, whether you're the CEO of your small business or you're CEO of a corporate, whichever what you're in charge of, is I think from my side, the most important part is that you have to set the strategy. You have to make sure everybody's aligned. So there's sometimes you're the chief alignment officer in the beginning, you're the chief strategy officer in the beginning, because you have to really shape, and you're talking to different folks, you're getting input. When I got here, I started talking to customers, loan holders, I started talking to stakeholders, to trustees, to our board members. I started talking to the whole environment, our suppliers, and just understand exactly what it is, what's our capability, and what we have to do. So I think the first and most important task from a leader is to actually set the strategy. Once you set the strategy, the most important part is that you have to get it done. And there's no bigger task sometimes than building a super high performance team. Sometimes we look at ourselves and we start complaining about our own people. I'd walk past SME and they talk about that individual's not the right person, but I ask what you're doing about it, because you're the leader, right? You got the chance to hire, you got the chance to fire, you got the chance to train. And the second important part is really say, how do you actually find a way to build a high performance team? And at the summit, we actually question and challenge and say, if you have to take your employees down and note them down, whatever your business size, you're a 10-man operation, 100-man operation, if you just sit down as the owner of the business and say, yes, all my names, my people, and allocate the number next to them in terms of how well they perform out of 10. Here's my 6 out of 10, my 10 out of 10, my 9 out of 10. Ask yourself a question, how sharp your business will be if you had more 10 out of 10 players. And then ask yourself a question: what are you doing with all those guys at the bottom, the 1 out of 10s, the 4 out of 10s, the 5 out of 10s, kind of thing, etc. So the leader has to really basically build a high performance team. Take long to recruit. Make sure you do all the checks. Make sure you do the screening every year. And help fast and fire fast. You have to be, sometimes a bit more ruthless in terms of getting the right members on board. Once you've got the right people, it's also about how do you these people gel from a culture perspective. And I think the third role of the leader and the CEO and the captain is to basically build a culture and create that culture it will create a conducive environment to actually live that strategy with the people you've got. How many times have we seen 4 top American sprinters drop batons and not finishing anywhere in the relay finals of the Olympics? How many times have we seen soccer players with massive goals for 10, 11 of the world's best players on the field, but they can't sing it together because they can't play it. There's no culture. There's a culture of pride or arrogance or showmanship kind of thing, etc. So you have to create that culture as the leader, and that's the enabling environment. The fourth task, and it goes back, and that's why it's a logical flow to me to say, set the strategy, build a high performance team, get the right culture in your business and execute a culture of delivery, a culture of energy, a culture of high performance, and just basically get the job done kind of thing. Massively slow, high energy kind of thing, a sense of urgency culture kind of thing, humility culture, ever learning culture kind of thing. Once you've got those 3 things in place, then it's about execution. Now you have to get the job done. You have to implement the strategy. You have to basically enforce your position in the market space itself and take market share away or help whatever your business is there to do, whether it's an NGO, PBO, whether you're competing against competitors or not to be here. And you're building execution frameworks. And execution frameworks is how do we actually get this job done? So in my factories, for example, we break the year into 4 cycles. We got we break into 90-day plans. We break the 90-day plans into 30-day sprints. And all we do is say, okay, the next 90 days what we have to do, and because we have to do 90 days, what we have to do the next 30 days. So you're building dashboards, you're building execution frameworks, you're building reflection scores in terms of saying, what did we do better last month? What could we do this month? And the whole thing is about an execution framework. And lastly, I think, and sometimes we forget about this because we're so busy working in the business, we don't work on the business. To me, the last part is really about saying, how do I actually manage stakeholders? Because as a CEO, you're the chief stakeholder manager as well. You're managing the board, you're managing shareholders if you're a big corporate listed company. You're managing suppliers, you're managing customers, you're managing people on the floor, you're managing the experience of your customer. And I think sometimes we neglect that space. I was talking to a business owner recently and I asked him about his single biggest customer and I asked him when he saw them or visited them and he said like months ago. And you want to stay close to your best customers, your best partners, because while you're not staying close to them, so your competitors are trying to get close to them. So managing all the different types of stakeholders, government, public sector. Like in my role, I spend a lot of time with the public sector stakeholders, the philanthropy stakeholders, the private sector stakeholders, and even at the summit as well. You'll find that you've got all the banks over there as partnered with us. You've got all the investor universe, the IDC, the NEFs. If you're looking for funding, a one-stop shop, everybody at one in a row. Like I can go to NEF, IDC, I can go to CEDA, CIFA, I can go to Hati Enterprise for Palak kind of thing, etc. On the finance side, you got Samsung, you got Apple. Because I need to have hardware kind of thing. So we thought quite clearly through what the requirements of SMEs and how do we basically create a one-stop shop from exhibition point of view. At the same time, the network structure. You have on the app, you can find where I went to meet with Marco. Marco, schedule an appointment with Marco, 10 minutes during the lunch break, have a quick chat to Marco. We're going to get access to people sometimes in one-stop shop with a couple hundred people, all the same vested interest. So I think the 5 top leadership spaces to me has always been very clear. I've implemented that in my business. I implemented in my days in retail, days in FMCG, days in tech over there. Just those are the 5 things you have to do, and you have to take as the leader, and you actually can't outsource it. You can co-create, you can find partners of thought, but you can't outsource those things. It's like trying to outsource your running your gym and think you're going to get fit, and you just can't outsource certain stuff.
So before I move to the next question, we are going to be going into a Q&A soon. So if you do have any questions, please make sure you comment them now. I am going to be choosing a few people to give tickets away, as well as asking people to email me. My email is there. And just share a bit about their business or role in their organization and a bit of a motivation to why I should give away you the ticket. So if you do have any questions, please write them down or please start thinking about them, because Nico, I'm sure, charges a huge amount of money for his time. So it's a great opportunity to ask him. And then, Nico, just in terms of, and you'll know this being so high up in organizations, so much, I think it's a very underrated and overlooked thing, is there's so much pressure that is on that executive team. People don't understand, you're managing so much money and so much responsibility from an employee point of view. What is your self-talk when adversity hits and the tough conversations come? What are you telling yourself?
And it goes back to your question you asked earlier, and that's probably why I've probably been so successful to date, is because that superpower of faith kicks in first, right? So the first thing I think about when I'm faced with adversity is say the faith that we can actually go through this, the team can go through this, we've got the assets, we've got the resources, we actually can get it done. Adversity, but if I look back and reflect on my lifetime in terms of different adversity spots, different tight spots or tough spots, be them financial or business or process or just sometimes things just don't go the way it's supposed to go, that's when the best learnings happen. And nothing, you don't learn much when things go perfectly well. Adversity comes along and you learn things about yourself, you learn about your resilience, you need to be more resourceful. When I started some business when I was in my 20s, like I had no cash whatsoever. I'd like basically sell my sweat equity, I'll find deals, put it together, structured kind of thing, etc. Get other people to find my equity contribution. And I found myself becoming much more resourceful and resilient because of that adversity I was placed under kind of thing. I was reading a little piece recently, and the guy was talking about he was questioning why his maker had put him into this massively troubled water, and the maker came back and said, well, for years I've been teaching you how to swim, and hey, your competitors and enemies can't, so that's why you're there. So I think sometimes adversity strengthens, and if you allow yourself to reflect and just learn from the environment of the year, you'll find that adversity actually is like a sword. You're not going to make a great sword by just cutting a piece of metal. You have to cut it and bend it and shape it and immerse it in heat and then put it into ice. And after a while, it becomes so ardent and tempered that you can actually fight any enemy with it. So or fight any battle with it. And I think that's the important part about appreciating adversity and allowing it to strengthen you.
Brilliant. Well, before we go into the questions, because I see we have 3 questions. Where do you see the world of work going, having been now for many years in the world? Where do you see, what is any predictions in terms of, just where the world of work or people or leadership's going?
Yeah, I think sometimes in life, you go with the current, and sometimes the current forces you to go in certain directions, kind of thing, whatever, and you can swim against or not. I think just by virtue of whatever's happening around us, you can look at the macro, the micro, you can look at all the different economic factors. But you're definitely entering a space where you're going to find more and more, as more technology increases, you're going to find the private sector shrinking. You're going to find, when I say private shrinking, the workforce is shrinking. We all know the competencies and capabilities of AI in the future now can replace to a certain extent. I think there's going to be a huge mismatch of skills. You're going to find, sometimes you can find 10,000 people to dig a hole, but you can't find one person to tell them where to dig. So, you have to basically get yourself ready for this new space. And I think if you look at a Gen Z space at the moment in your 20s, you face so many different choices. You're bombarded with what should I do and must I go study next and what must I study? And you put all this pressure on yourself. And sometimes a matter of just saying, let's try to understand where the world is going. Wayne Gretzky, I love his book. He always spoke about the reason he was so successful wasn't because he was big or strong or fit or fast, whatever. He had this anticipation inside because he used to doodle his hockey games from when he was young, and he always had anticipation of where the puck is going. And he said he built his success not only where the puck was, it was where the puck was going to. And I think if we look into the future and put a few fundamentals out there, a shrinking private sector employment-wise, a shrinking private sector, SMEs will fuel that growth. Right now, for example, we don't get SMEs to actually create jobs. We're going to struggle in this country, and therefore, the ability and the coordinating and pulling together of the different avenues of public sector, private sector, philanthropy, all these different worlds, corporate environment here, and helping to build a strong, robust SME is probably one of our single biggest needs, because once you create jobs, everything flows, because you create jobs, creates the economy. Money creates power. Money enables you to buy the house and feed your kids and family. It helps you fix a lot of endemic problems and social problems. You find a lack of money creates social unrest, creates social evils. People are forced into spaces they want to be normally because of that space. If you fix 2 things in our country, get education right in terms of groceries up and build a more educated population, and you help employment, you're gonna realize this African dream for sure.
Amazing. All right, let's jump into the questions. The first one is from Yanda, and maybe we can just go through these quite quickly, Nico. The first one is from Yanda. What was Nico's first business?
Yeah, you can take all 3. I'll just knock them all together.
Okay. What was Nico's first business? How exactly do you prioritize your time and focus as a CEO? How do you ensure that you're devoting enough attention to the most important areas of your business? And then how do you break into the donor funders market who have fund managers as gatekeepers of those funds? And then those are the 3.
Great. So cool. I think that's 3 great questions. I think first of all, my first business was the easy one. It was property, right? And property is quite simple because you can buy it, you can fix it, you can flip it, you can find properties for cheap and then build it. So my first business, I'd basically identify properties that were on the market before they got to the market. And I'd basically buy positions, bring people together, put money in, buy the properties, fix the properties, make some money, do the next one, the next one, the next one. And obviously from there, on the personal property side is all obviously residential. You move into commercial property, because you can make more money in the commercial property space. You can get it, you can leverage it, you can go to banks, put some cash down, put some equity down. So my first few business was property. I still love property. I love what it does. It creates using somebody else's money, banks' money and other people's money to create riches for yourself. And so it's a good asset. It's always a appreciating asset. So yeah, first business was property, but it teaches you a lot of different stuff. The second, in terms of prioritizing time, that's such a good question, because you got 86,400 seconds in a day. Every single person, no matter who you are, you can be a famous rock star, a great soccer player, singer, whatever the case is, an actor, president. But every single day, you get 86,400 seconds deposited into your account. And how you spend is most important. So I don't watch a lot of TV. I find it's a waste of time, unless it's like a probably informative thing or documented, or maybe help me reach my own mind. But I find some other things I can find entertainment in different ways. I don't watch a 90-minute soccer game. I watch the highlights, and I think sometimes you just lose that time. And you spend 90 minutes or an hour, 2 hours sometimes watching somebody else live their own dreams at the expense of your own. So I tend to avoid those kind of things that just clutter your time. In my diary, I always have thinking time. Every thrice a week, I put an hour in place just to think, because you have to actually focus on thinking. I put hours in my diary for deal time, to looking at certain deals that we've got a lot of access to deals. Have a look at those things. And you have to break up your time, also create a balance. And sometimes you integrate chaotic fusion. So, for example, chaotic fusion says that sometimes I get into a bike and have a cycle next to somebody, or a stationary bike, or you can just have a meeting while you actually get a bit of exercise at the same time. Sometimes on the bike, I live in Cape Town, so I'll take a bike out and spend some time with my daughters doing some exercise and whatever. So sometimes you have to fuse certain events just to get more out of your 86,400 seconds. But you have to work very carefully with time. You have to plan your time accordingly. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself trying to chase everything down. My own business, I've got people that's delegated to do certain things. I've got different times. So it's Tuesday evenings from 8 to 11. I'll talk to the factory manager on a virtual meeting or a face-to-face. I'm in Joburg. First Saturday of every month, I'll go to the 3 factory managers and talk to them over there. Sunday, I'll talk to the branding company. And you just find different ways and different gaps to actually get the things done. I sleep about 6 hours a day, 5 to 6 hours a day. So you have to cut it all the time and block it out. So, and you take relaxing time as well. So I think it's important. Look at it at 6,400 seconds and reflect on it and say, are you spending it as often as you should? And you'll be surprised how much time you actually can unlock by just finding different ways to fuse certain events and merge certain events and those kind of things. And I think from a donor fund point of view, I think the big question is always asked is, how do I access capital? And what types of capital can I think? And it's, the secret is, when you got a great product and you got a great solution, donors will find you. So sometimes it's not about finding the money first, it's about building a great business. And there's always a dilemma, catch between a chicken and egg. I need the money to get the business off the ground, and once off the ground, I can go. But if you tap into certain space and you look at the summit, for example, you're going to have all you got NEF, IBC, you got all the investor universities, you got investors over there, you got business, successful business owners that's looking to invest in your company. And if you'll be able to see exactly who's going to the summit, you have to pick up brains. Okay, how do I get a chance to speak to the CEO of this company, CEO of that company? You've got some really key stakeholders over there. So yeah, I find ways and just being resourceful to get into the face and get face time with people that you don't have normally access to. And the summit presents a great opportunity to do that. And once you get the donor funds and you can inject the money into your business, one day you become that investor at the conference looking and seeing what else you can invest in, and then passing it on to the next person.
And I think first-time founders and Gen Z struggle with that because of the late gratification and just wanting to rush and build. They don't have product market fit. They don't even have customers. They're not post revenue. They're wanting all this money. So I think it's great advice to actually focus on the business and let people come to you when you have a great solution and you've got a great foundation. Awesome. So yeah, I will be reaching out to Marcia and Tuto to discuss potentially giving you guys tickets. Please, can you also email me your business or your role at your organization, marco@marcostavo.com, so that we can organize your guys tickets. And Nico, any last words in terms of just the summit and your overall work?
Yeah, last word is that there's a magic spot, the intersection I always call the intersection of readiness and opportunity. And the more ready you are, the more lanes you can actually access in terms of readiness lanes and opportunity lanes, the more access points you have. You can either have a one block dimension or like a chessboard of opportunities that can dissect. If you go to the summit, you're going to create both. You're going to be more prepared, you'll be more ready, and you'll have much more opportunity. So, yeah, the way the summit's created in terms of just readiness, it's going to teach you, it's going to educate you, get more prepared in your system. You're going to basically get referred to books that might have insights. You're going to have guest speakers you're never going to have access to face-to-face time. And then from an opportunity point of view, you're going to have to do a huge amount of opportunity by building a network. So readiness opportunity has always been a sweet spot at that intersection point.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who joined. My name is Marcus Stavro. This is the Gen Z 360 show. Please, can you share this amazing interview? I think a lot of value was shared from Nico. And if you have any questions about Gen Z, then please reach out to me. Happy to answer. And yeah, thank you again for joining, Nico.
Cool. Thanks so much. And see you guys at the summit.